Namaskar, welcome to the Sansad TV. In the Foreign Affairs series today, we have a very distinguished guest, Mr. Władysław Teofil Bartoszewski. He is the Secretary of State, Deputy Foreign Minister of Foreign Affairs, Poland. Minister came for the Rajya dialogue. He met many key leaders here in India. In fact, let me tell you, India and Poland have established a strategic partnership, linked a social security pact to promote the mobility of skilled workers, following wide-ranging talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Polish counterpart Donald Tusk in 2024. Also, Poland is positioned as a West hub for operation in Ukraine, is a leading country on NATO. Poland is also embarking on a military modernization, is a threshold and a thriving democracy. To talk and begin, I welcome him on the Sansad TV. This is your host, Manish Kumar. Sir, I begin asking you, India and Poland relation, you describe as Prime Minister Modi visit to Poland as a landmark visit. What is unfolding in India-Poland relation? If you could give us your outlook to begin with.
To begin with, we have had a relation for 75 years, so it's a very long time, and now a bit more actually. And it was a historic visit of the Prime Minister Modi, because we haven't had a Prime Minister from India for 45 years. And he came with a very large group of senior officials, including Minister Jaishankar and some others, and we had very important events, because we signed a strategic partnership and also the action plan, which we are now trying to realize in very many spheres, because the fact is that in these 75 years we never had any quarrel between our two countries, which is not always the case with foreign relations. We actually, it was a very moving scene, because there was a good Maharaja who took hundreds of Polish children who were sent to Siberia by Stalin, and they left, came to India, and the Maharaja hosted them and took care of them. And the Prime Minister Modi met two of these children, still alive, who told him how they witnessed raising of the Indian flag on a mast on the day of independence, which was quite a moving moment, I would say. And so, but moving forward, we decided to strengthen our relationship with the largest democracy in the world, because we share Indian values. And so we thought we should be dealing with people we not only like, but they have the same values as we do. Democracy, peace, freedom, respect for sovereignty of other nations. And so that's how we started.
Let's focus here further on Poland's role. Poland, I see, I would call it emerging within the European Union, has a lot of historical legacy, culture, a thriving industry, especially defense and energy. But I'm going to talk more on a strategic aspect, Foreign Minister, to understand more on Poland's role in Indo-Pacific. On what level you look at strategy with India addressing the geopolitical challenge? Where do you see the alignment with India, especially maintaining the rule of law, maintaining the conflict with India as a partner?
I think you touched the most important aspect of it. Why are we interested in cooperating with India? Because India is the largest democracy in the world, and you've just had a big election, the largest election in the world, to prove it, and very successfully run. And you share our values, and you believe in the international world order based on international law, based on freedom of the sea, based on human rights, and based on democratic procedures. You are not a dictatorship, you are not an authoritarian state, you do not suppress your citizens, you don't put them, political prisoners, in jail, you do not try to invade your neighbors. You share our values, and we see it as a way. I know that you were for decades a non-aligned in between the different models, but now we say, India, you are not an impoverished state. You are fifth largest economy in the world. I sometimes talk to my Indian friends, and they tell me we are emerging nation. And I said, once you are fifth largest economy, and I hear within 5 years you will be third largest economy in the world, you have emerged. You have to feel more secure in yourself. And I think Prime Minister Modi is trying to show that to the fellow Indians. Yes, you can. You can achieve. It's a fast modernizing country. And we say, you have also a duty to play a more important role on the world stage because you've grown up, you are important. And I remember as a child, India was starving. We had to send food to India. Well, that's gone. That was
certainly
that was 60 years ago, 70 years ago, and that's gone. Therefore, you've got power, you've got success, you have some responsibilities because you are a democratic nation, and you should try to have some impact on the world stage because you can. And you should do it with us because we share your values. You prefer to do that, and you also have it's a very important aspect, especially now. It is not in the interest of Poland, but it's also not in the interest of India to have spheres of influence who tells you, you belong to my sphere or somebody else belongs to somebody else's sphere. You want to have the freedom of trade agreements when you can trade freely. India benefited immensely thanks to this rule of law which started in 1945 and for you in 1947 in reality. And it's switching back to antagonistic world that 2-3 powers will rule the whole world. It's not in India's interest. Soon enough you will be one of those powers. Maybe not quite yet, but soon enough you will be. And therefore you should, and you are model democracy, so you should. That's why we want to engage with you, because it's at the end of the day, why do we engage with in Asia with South Korea, with Japan, with the Philippines, and in the Pacific with Australia and New Zealand? Because we share the values. We may be quite different. We may be different, have different histories. We may have different cultures, but the values, which is what unites us.
Foreign Minister, you did talk about the convergence of foreign policies of Poland and India. What you're referring is the strategic autonomy of taking decisions on your own in the geopolitical arena. But I continue on this topic of, as you talked about Poland's strategy for Indo-Pacific and working together with India. And you also referred to India-Poland military cooperation. In fact, during the last visit of Prime Minister Modi to Poland, when he met PM Tusk, and he mentioned on building upon Russian origin equipment such as T-72 tank that Poland can repair, refit, creating an opportunity for cooperation. It's just one of the examples which I'm quoting, which I also understand that Poland has a very thriving defense industry. You have raised your defense budget 4% of the GDP. You also modernizing your army, which is also a similar ethos and an effort of India is going through, is modernizing his army. What else Poland defense industry can do with India? The possible areas that Poland is keen to have collaboration in terms of technology and system and military, if you can highlight those aspects and opportunities.
First of all, you mentioned servicing the old Russian equipment, because we've used that as well and we know how to do it and we do it. Secondly, both countries are buying some Korean equipment, like tanks and K2 tanks and K9 howitzers,
yes,
self-moving howitzers. And our goal is to be able to produce them in Poland, not only buy them, but to produce them in Poland. And we already have made some improvements to them, and we already have clients for the improved versions. And I know that you have some of them, or you're going to get some of them, and we can offer you the improvements so they get slightly better. So this is something. We are already collaborating, or we are selling you drones. We have a company which is based in India, which is testing drones in very remote areas of India. as we know, in Ladakh, in the Himalayas. Yes. So they are very sophisticated machines produced by a private company in Poland. Our army buys from them as well, because they work because they've been tested in Ukraine, and they were seen to be very good. So we are participating even in cooperating even in space. I'm not sure you're aware, we are sending an Indian and Polish astronaut to space together. I mean, this is not something you would have thought 5 years ago, I think. But this is, we don't produce the rockets, but we produce parts of satellites, even for other nations, because we have some technologies. We have lots of, our business is based on small and medium-sized firms, but they're quite innovative, and also in IT sector and technology. Generally speaking, India has about 9% of GDP coming from the IT sector. We have 7% of GDP coming from the IT sector.
A lot of similarity for it.
There are some similarities. We want to cooperate on that, and we are having some meetings this year in India and in Poland in that sector to collaborate. And on defense, I mean, there are obviously some things we will not be able to produce. We are not be able to produce Patriot missiles equivalents, but we can do some components to various things, and we are looking at these capabilities. And as we are expecting shortly a working group of the defense officials from India to visit Poland to look at the details, what we can do and how we can do it.
And to re-emphasize what Foreign Minister has talked about, one of the success stories of Poland, drone industry, which has contributed to the Indian Armed Forces, very successfully tried and tested in terms of ISR, which we call intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance. This is one of the greatest examples. And second, you talked about the space cooperation, but I also understand Poland buys a lot of fighter jet F-35. Poland also has a shipbuilding industry which is trying to develop. Do you looking some sort of cooperation with India, or do you have some sort of talks with the counterpart here in India in these direction?
Well, F-35s, yes, we buy is the most advanced fighter plane in the world at the moment, and nobody produces an equivalent yet. Yes, we have shipbuilding. We've got ports. We like to cooperate more with ports. We are now building another LNG port in Poland, and Japanese are building it for us as well, with the Japanese components. So it's very high tech. It's top end of that. We try to cooperate with the Japanese as well now. So we want to. Yes, we would like to cooperate with port servicing, building and using with India, because we want to use the Baltic Sea more. We've got a great, one of the things we have with our ports is that when you go to Gdynia port on the coast of the Baltic, we've got great road and rail connections reaching deep in Central Eastern Europe, quite south. So it is an interesting proposal, but also for trade. We have plans to cooperate in coal mining, because we have also relied a lot on coal mines, and we already sell India coal mining machinery, right. But we can cooperate. You are developing a big coal mine. We would like to participate in building it, and now with foreign, there will be a consortium of, but we discuss it now as well. We are talking about more green technologies. We've had expertise in green cities and green solutions, which is something which we can cooperate with India. We are talking about two-side approach. India wants to invest something in Poland, and we want to invest something in India for the products produced in India to be sold to the Deep South. So we had a strange and slightly unusual maybe, but more common nowadays situations that United Arab Emirates want to do something with us and with India in a triangle, because you do have lots of links with UAE. So we are looking at a variety of options. We want to cooperate with India in production of pharmaceuticals. We've got very good pharmaceutical industry, but we would like to invite Indian companies to help to produce something in Europe. The beauty of this arrangement is if we produce something in India, it can be sold without tariffs to lots of deep south countries with which you have free trade agreements. If you do that with us, you can sell it anywhere in the EU.
That's a very interesting point you talked about, inviting the Indian company, the pharmaceutical company especially, and also the mining company, which they can take advantage of this, your positioning of having a free trade within the European Union. An Indian company can set up and extend their market, perhaps in that direction. What exactly you're talking about,
Yeah, because you can use us in Europe, and we can use that in Africa and bits of Asia, which you are very well established. So we are looking at lots of options.
Foreign Secretary Władysław, back to a little more. If I broaden the scope of questions, we understand our bilateral foreign trade has reached about €6 billion, while it's short of expectation and it is growing. How can it be increase, put more momentum, thrust on raising our bilateral trade, especially also in the light of you chairing the EU Council beginning with 2005, 2025? How do you look at the possible India-EU FTA? What are the basically area of agreement and challenges to discuss? Because this has been a point of contention for a long time. It has not come to the point which can be concluded, especially I'm talking about India-EU FTA, which can also sort of speed up the trade between India and Poland and other European countries.
Well, as you know, the problem with bilateral trade is that trade agreements are made by the EU as a whole. So we cannot do side deals in trade. That's why we need the foreign trade agreement between EU and India. And now it looks like, excuse me, the matter is progressing quite fast because India is also negotiating a free trade agreement with the United States, and that tends to concentrate the minds of people. So we want to close it. We had a visit, you had a visit of Ursula von der Leyen and 22 commissioners.
Yes.
And recently,
last month perhaps.
Well, last month, and I think things will speed up because we want to conclude this agreement. Once it's concluded, there will be no objects for us trading with each other more, because we are bound by EU rules. We cannot break them. So that's.
Back to I think paucity of time, but it's important to ask you, Poland will also be chairing the connectivity project on 14 countries in Central and Eastern Europe, CEE, from Greece in the south to Baltic in the north. It is called 3Cs initiative. How significant in this? Could you just highlight, and where do you see India's role into this perhaps?
Well, this is an old initiative started by the President of Poland and the President of Croatia many years ago. But it's an initiative which noticed the fact that all the connections in Europe are between west and east and not between north and south. And therefore, we wanted to increase two things: infrastructure, road and rail, and energy connections. And we are building that from the Baltic states to Greece. Now there is and this is a project, big infrastructure project, an energy project, which attracted lots of attention from Asian nations, including Japan, and Pacific nations, including Australia. And India is interested in it because it's a kind of tangible way to do a big projects, because these are big infrastructure projects, which with lots of value added, which not only increase possibility of trade, improve possibility of defensive possibilities, that's another aspect of it, but includes connectivity, so includes movement of people, movement of goods, and India is thinking big, and that is something which we may cooperate. In fact, only yesterday I met foreign Minister of Slovakia, and we discussed some small details of interconnections between our two countries. So this is something which is alive, very much alive, and it's something which
it's going on and well known.
It's going on, and if you think that we are quite far away, and Japan is interested in it, so it shows that there is some value, and I think this is something which, and for the record, President Trump, in his first term, was very keen on this initiative. So I think Americans will be also keen to cooperate, which makes it very international.
That's an interesting development, and it's important to also ask you, we had a joint commission for economic cooperation and focusing on the clean energy, which both countries insist and very focus on taking next level. Poland also recognizes India's ambition to join its National Energy Agency. Could you elaborate on these schemes, how you look at such development?
I don't know the issue of the accession of India in it, but generally speaking, the idea is, yes, we have to move to the green energies, and because coal is not an ideal source of electricity, and we would have to move, but we have to move to green energy while providing stable supply of electricity, because there are countries in Europe which can produce 100% of energy needs from green energy, but if there's no wind and no sun, they've got a problem. So you have to have a backup. So for us, it's obvious that the backup is nuclear. So because it's a clean energy, but it's stable energy. The other thing which we want to do, like the Danes, is to have a biogas, because biogas is green, but can be used day and night, irrespective of the weather. So, and the Danes by 2035 will have 75% of all energy needs from biogas. So we are looking at different options, but we have to maintain a degree of common sense. That is, you cannot remove, in our case, in your case, coal without having an alternative. And that alternative, in most cases, is nuclear. So we are planning to build at first 2 nuclear power stations. One is already, and the process is continuing with Westinghouse from the United States. And we have another one we're getting into the tender who is going to win it, and we are planning another 2. So, I think, excuse me, India faces similar problems, and we would of course welcome your involvement, because you were talking, and today at Resina there was a talk about getting to net zero at some stage. So we share, and of course we support the Indians' collaboration with international bodies, and we always would want India to join bodies in which we participate.
I thank Foreign Minister, Deputy Foreign Minister of Poland, Władysław Bartoszewski, for talking on us on Sansad TV in the range of issues, and especially in the historic moment of India-Poland bilateral relation. I thank you. This is Manish Kumar just signing off from Sansad TV.
To watch more programs of Sansad TV, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to like and share them.